Hello everyone!
We are the TfL Three.
And we're out on the London Overground today because recently TfL made the decision to give all the lines separate names, and we've got some things to say about them.
So we're going to be riding all the lines today and giving our thoughts.
Oh yeah, one quick thing to note is that we're doing the Mildmay Line first. It'll be just me and Hugh on that one. Dylan will join us later at Gospel Oak. So yeah, now cut to Clapham Junction. So here we are on board the Mildmay Line, formerly the North London Line. So, behind me is the Mildmay Hospital in Shoreditch, which the Mildmay Line is named after. Wikipedia tells me that it's the only hospital in the UK that specialises in HIV/AIDS and its related disorders, and the only one in Europe that specialises in the neurocognitive disorders associated with HIV/AIDS. Of course, this is amazing work. However, there are two criticisms with regards to the line. One of which is that I got here on the East London line, or the Windrush line. Its closest station is Hoxton, so that if you actually want to go there, the Mildmay line is kind of useless. And secondly, the fact that this raises the question of why there aren't other practices in the UK or in Europe. So of course the work they're doing here is amazing and deserves celebration, but I think these are also things that need to be considered.
So when it comes to thinking of other names, if geographical synonyms are not allowed, one fun name that I thought of was Silverlink, in honour of the TFC that used to run it.
Yeah, that's quite a nice name. So yeah, this was formerly the North London Line. You can also have the Silverlink Line, but what we've got is the Mildmay Line. So we got on at Clapham Junction and we're going to Gospel Oak. However, you can also go to Richmond and as far as Stratford on this line. So our next station is Gospel Oak.
And we're going to be changing onto the Suffragette Line, formerly known as the Gospel Oak Debarking Line, or as we affectionately call it, the Goblin.
Let's go. Got a class 710 up here, Gospel Oak, yeah. We've just arrived at Gospel Oak and Dylan's joined us.
Hey!
So yeah, we're going to be getting the Gospel Oak to Barking line, which is now known as the Suffragette Line.
Hey guys, Dylan here. So this is the Gospel Oak to Barking Line, colloquially known as the Goblin. This is now known as the Suffragette Line due to the history of suffragettes in East London.
So we're getting this Gospel Oak to Barking Line train to South Tottenham, where we're going to walk over to Seven Sisters and change for the Weaver Line, or as we always used to call it, the Lee Valley.
To be honest, I'm quite sad about the fact that they didn't make the Goblin name official. Like, it's a funny name, you know.
And it looks like you.
Short for Gospel Oak to Barking Line. I mean, portmanteau names have been used before, hence Bakerloo, short for Baker Street in Waterloo. And I think that's just a funny name, and it would have been great to have that be kept official.
South Tottenham, lovely. So we are walking to Seven Sisters to change to the Weaver or Lee Valley line.
Oh, and there's some nice little roundel murals here that I'll just cut to.
long has that been there? That has to have been there since like what? 2006 at least?
2006 was when it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure 2006 was when it closed.
I think maybe early 2007.
Yeah.
About the same time that Silverlink took over the Overground.
Yeah, so yeah, East London Line is still listed on this sign at Seven Sisters for some reason. So we're at Seven Sisters, about to get on the Weaver Line. Nice. Right. We've got to get off somewhere in the middle just to get some shots, and then we'll go to Liverpool Street. Yeah. So we are on the Weaver/Lee Valley line to Liverpool Street, although we'll be getting off somewhere in the middle to explain the reasoning of the name.
Absolutely.
So we've had a bit of trouble finding a sign, but hopefully there should be one at Bethnal Green, and we'll explain the meaning of the Weaver Line there.
Yeah, we're here at Bethnal Green. Now this line that runs here is going to be named the Weaver Line because apparently this area of town was home to one of London's many major textile industries, which is actually a sort of decent name. It's actually one of the better names that they've chosen, but I still think Lee Valley is a great name. So here at Bethnal Green, we're going to be getting the Lee Valley Weaver down to Liverpool Street.
Shall we get on board?
No.
So we are at Liverpool Street, and with the power of teleportation, we will be at Euston.
Let's get on the Watford DC line called the Lioness Line.
Let's go.
So we are getting the Watford DC or Lioness Line to Hatch End.
Look at that. Like,
We are approaching Harrow and Wealdstone. We are leaving the Bakerloo here, and we're going to keep going to Watford, although we're getting out at Hatch End.
This station is on what TfL are now going to call the Lioness Line, or what we used to call the Watford DC Line, named after the English women's football team who won the European Championships at Wembley Stadium a couple of years ago. And now it is time for a montage of us train spotting at Hatch End. Wait, this isn't Hatch End, this is my house!
Windrush Line, closed today. So we're going to cut to Daniel tomorrow, who's going to talk about those.
See you after that.
Hello. Tomorrow, Daniel here. You join me here at West Croydon. I'm going to be getting the Windrush Line, formerly the East London Line. So let's get on board. So, the Windrush Line is, of course, named after the Empire Windrush ship, which took Caribbean migrants from the Caribbean to the UK. This was seen as a rather important cultural moment in the history of London and Britain, and this line does serve communities such as Croydon and Clapham that were from the Windrush, kind of generally sort of Caribbean communities. So, as we go up the Windrush Line, which was formerly referred to as the East London Line, which runs from Highbury and Islington to West Croydon, Crystal Palace and Clapham Junction. Personally, I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't use the name of the Brunel Line, as this line uses the old Thames Tunnel from Wapping to Rotherhithe. I think that would have been a great nod to the history of this railway. However, Windrush isn't the worst name in my opinion. You know, it's not that bad, you know. Like, it does reflect a genuine part of London history, and you know, it does serve sort of Caribbean communities. So yeah, not a bad choice, but I would have gone for the Brunel Line personally. The original Brunel construction. One thing I've always noted is the platforms at Wapping in particular are very thin, and they kind of must be kind of dangerously thin. Certainly wouldn't make them this thin today, so kind of be careful if you're ever using that station. Just leaning out here, you can see what I mean about the platforms. I'm not actually getting out here, I'm just showing you what I mean. Whitechapel now. I'm going to be getting off at Hoxton. You'll have seen why earlier, because it's near the Mildmay Hospital, so I'm going to go that will have been earlier in the video, so you'll have already seen that. So yeah, one more line to go. That is the Liberty Line, Romford to Upminster, and this lighting is appalling. I might have moved that way. There we go. Yeah, one more line left. Yeah, the old tube stock we mentioned in another video, I think. Yeah, the Santa Challenge. Yeah, we're back over ground and heading to Hoxton. So that was Hoxton on the Windrush Line. That means there's just one left to go. And now, with the power of teleportation that we mentioned earlier, I will be on the Liberty Line, or the Romford to Upminster shuttle. I am at Upminster, I'm going to Emerson Park, let's get on board. So, this name of the Liberty Line is meant to reflect the historical Royal Liberty of Havering, which gave the area of Havering a lot of independence. It's not the worst sounding name, but I'm not a fan. I think it sounds far too American. Like, this would belong somewhere like Philadelphia, or maybe even New York. You know, definitely Philadelphia, because that's where they have the Liberty Bell. But I don't see it for Romford to Upminster. This just kind of feels wrong.
This is the train to Romford.
These handholds are so sturdy, I keep knocking my hat off on them. I'm here at lovely Emerson Park. Of course, the least used station on the London Overground, because you've all watched the Jeff Marshall video. Speaking of which, Dylan suggested that this line should be called the Marshall Line because of the bin bags blowing in the breeze. As you can possibly see, it's quite a windy day today, so there might be a shot of that over my face right now. So I've got a little while left to wait here at Emerson Park, then I'm going to get the train back out. However, there's not a lot to show of this line, so I'm going to cut back to all of us at Hatch End. So we've got these little promotional pamphlets here. We're gonna go through all the lines and give our brief thoughts.
Okay, so first up we have the Liberty Line. The Liberty Line celebrates the freedom that is a defining feature of London, London Borough of Havering, blah 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 blah. Basically, it's a free station line, Romford, Emerson Park and Upminster. So I think calling it the Liberty Line is a little bit of an overstatement. Some liberty, isn't it? Just got 3 stations. So I think a better name for it would be the Marshall Line, after Jeff Marshall's bin bags blowing in the breeze.
I concur.
Personally, I think a great name for it would be Shuttle Line, like the one that shuttles between Grand Central and Times Square in New York City. But yeah,
It should just be the Emerson Park line. It's not all that.
okay. So, well, the next line is the Lioness Line. So it says here, well, that's the line we're on now. The Lioness Line celebrates the historic success of the England women's football team who won Euros in the summer of 2022, and it's named that way because it passes by Wembley. Personally, I think this name is a bit weird, especially because, you know, it very much is of our time. And yeah, sure, it was a big moment, but it could go out of date pretty quickly, which is why I think Wembley Line, if you can't use Watford DC, Wembley Line is a name I think would be really good.
It's the most obvious pandering, in my opinion. Just, what's it, pandering to the gallery, you know, what's it? Oh, look at us, we've got the football, aren't we cool?
I personally don't mind this one, but I do find it strange that if they were going to name a line after a football team, wouldn't they have done it in 1966, which is the year everyone thinks of?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay, so the next one is the Mildmay Line, named after the Mildmay Hospital in Shoreditch. It's not a bad name, just, what's it, if you ignore the history, but firstly it's kind of revisionist in that, what's it, this was, I believe, the only hospital that would take in LGBT patients with HIV, kind of, which is more of an indictment on all the other hospitals that wouldn't. And also, it's not actually near the Mildmay Hospital.
No, the nearest lines are like what's now the Windrush and the Weaver, or as we shall always call them, the East London and the Lee Valley.
The Mildmay Hospital actually resisted incorporation into the NHS, so it's possibly not all that. It's perhaps a little bit of a whitewash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, next up is the Suffragette Line. Let me just find the page. This is the Gospel Oak to Barking Riverside service, colloquially known as the Goblin, which I think would be a much better name because obviously everyone calls it the Goblin, and there's even a TfL poster at one point which referred to it as the Goblin. If I can find it, it will be on screen now. Honouring the suffragettes who fought for votes for women and paved the way for women's rights. Got a 0. Problem with this is that some of the suffragettes it talks about suffragettes as a working class movement. A lot of the middle class suffragettes actually tried to oust some of the working class ones, and bearing in mind that East London is quite a working class area, because they deemed working class women not suitable for the vote. So it's not sort of a perfect. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just find it a bit unnecessarily political, this one. It is known as the Goblin, just call it the Goblin.
It will forever be the Goblin in our hearts.
And this line is going to be called the Suffering Line, as Jago said. It will be called the Suffering Line when it's late, and the Suffocation Line when it's hot. And suffragette is kind of weird when you put it into a sentence. Like, people just say, oh, I'm going to get the Bakerloo, I'm going to get the Northern. I'm going to get the suffragette. Sounds kind of wrong.
Yeah.
They also used a suffragist, not a suffragette, on their initial poster when they launched the new name of the line. So it's kind of, the history lesson isn't very accurate.
Alrighty.
Yeah, so the next line is, let me just find it.
They're on
This
the
is
back
quite
of the
yeah, they're on the back of the pamphlet. TfL organises better, is the Weaver Line. This is what we always used to call the Lee Valley lines, which are the lines out of Liverpool Street to Enfield, Chingford and Chesham.
This is our favourite line because it's named after Jackie Reaver.
It's a reference to the Handforth Parish Council video. But it says here, the Weaver Line celebrates an area of London shaped by the textile trade and French Huguenots and Irish weavers to Jewish refugees and South Asian migrants. And all the way to the home designer William Morris in Walthamstow. Now, I'm going to argue here, I think the Morris line would have actually been a pretty decent name.
I think the Weaver Line is the best of the 6. I can imagine that one taking hold. It's actually quicker to say than Lee Valley. So kind of, I can, and you can't really dispute the history. Yes, it does go through, was it Walthamstow where William Morris lived and all that, you know, you can't dispute the history on it. I think that's
I agree. I think this is a good name. This is a name that we should keep.
Yeah, of all the names, I think this is the one I'm least mad about. Although, just out of spite, I would love to name it the Spurs line, but whatever.
Okay, and the final line is the Windrush line. That is the former East London line, recognising the migrants that came to live in Britain between 1948 and 1971, often referred to as the Windrush generation.
That's
I don't think this name is too bad. You know, it does recognise an actually important chapter of British history, and it does go through areas that a lot of the Windrush generation would have moved to. Like, kind of goes through kind of Croydon, you know,
and New Cross.
Areas like that.
The issue I take with it is that it was named the Windrush Line.
Oh, there's
Not fast train.
Another Pendolino.
Yep, another Pendolino.
I don't know if the naming of this line actually involved anyone who's actually been on the Windrush. It was just an advertising agency that Sadiq Khan, the London Council, paid. It feels like Sadiq Khan's trying to use it sort of just deliberately trying to get certain people annoyed, and I don't think trains should be made political.
No, like, I mean, a lot of people were mad and still mad about, you know, the Elizabeth Line Crossrail thing, and should it still been called Crossrail? Yeah, but these things are by. But this is obviously, you know, very political naming. This.
I believe the difference between, say, the Elizabeth or Jubilee lines and this is that the Elizabeth or Jubilee lines weren't brand new lines, whereas these are existing lines that already have history. So, like, reflecting the history, like, say, the Windrush line, this could have been called the Brunel line, because it runs through the Thames Tunnel.
Yeah. Also, I'm quite sad, because they've coloured it red, as you can see here, that they haven't chosen to make it the original shade of orange that the original East London line was.
Yeah, none of them were kept orange.
You're also opening yourself up to really cheap jokes. People going, oh, I was on the Windrush, I've been on the Windrush, I came in to London on the Windrush this morning.
Yeah. So, that's all of the lines. Honestly, I'm just going to say here, I'm not mad at TfL choosing to do this, because the Overground was, and kind of still is because it's still all orange, a very complicated system to navigate, especially if you're not from London.
Yeah, they needed new names. They needed to be split up than just one big orange blob. However, these lines could be better, in my opinion, for navigation and for sort of accuracy.
Yeah, I'm also not too fussed about the new colours. They're all right, although the lack of an orange is a bit sad. And also, the sad thing is, about, when was it? I think it was maybe 2015, TfL published a hypothetical map, basically predicting this, showing actually good geographical names. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention, Mildmay Line, I would love to have named it Silverlink in honour of the original operator, but they had geographic names, and
that would be more controversial than all of these names combined. Everyone hated Silverlink. Everybody hated Silverlink. It was the worst train service in London. It makes South Eastern look like...
Oh, that's fighting talk. That's okay.
It makes South Eastern look like LNER.
But basically they had this map, and it had sort of similar colour schemes. I think they were a bit different, but they had the geographical names. Like they had East London Line, North London Line, Watford Line, I think Anderson Park Line. I don't know whether they had Goblin, they might have had it. I can't remember. And they had orange as the East London Line, and they threw it out. I think it was actually our former mayor who threw it out, which...
Boris Johnson threw it out.
Boris Johnson threw it out. Fun fact, we actually learned that at the biggest
fast train.
It's a Voyager!
Oh, wow!
Pretty cool. They're being retired soon.
Cross-country livery.
No, I think it was a Vanti livery.
You've got to bear in mind that Boris Johnson threw out the names for the Overground lines, but he also insisted on the crossroad being called the Elizabeth Line. So basically, every mayor is just using trains to push whatever they want to.
Also, a fun story, back in 2009, they removed the Thames from the tube map, and people have a conspiracy theory that Boris Johnson went, "Oh, this is absolutely outrageous." The terrible impression, I know, that they removed the Thames. We must put it back, and people have a conspiracy theory that he took it off and then demanded it to be put back on to give him some PR boosting. So yeah, the mayors of London seem to love using the train system as a way to get political gains.
Has London ever had a truly good mayor?
We've had 3, Ken Livingstone, Boris Johnson, Sadiq Khan. None of them have really made a big difference.
That's up to you. That is up to your own personal opinion. We are not going to get into that here.
This video's pushing 10 minutes, so goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Catch you in the next one.